Modern car interiors are starting to look more like iPads on wheels than real cars. Everything's been flattened, digitized, hidden behind glass. And somehow, we're supposed to call that progress. But let's be honest, it's not. These glossy, buttonless cabins might look futuristic in a press photo, but in the real world, they're quietly making driving worse and more dangerous. We've let design trends take priority over common sense. Reaching for a physical knob used to be instinctive. You didn't have to think, you didn't have to look. Now, you're digging through 3 layers of menus just to adjust the temperature or change a song. That's not innovation, that's distraction by design. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration says that glancing away from the road for more than 2 seconds dramatically increases crash risk. 2 seconds, that's all it takes, and today's screens demand it constantly. Automakers know this, yet they keep doubling down, selling us the illusion of modern while ignoring the very basics of safe, intuitive design. So today, we're calling it out. We'll look at the data, the human factors, and the growing backlash from drivers and safety experts who've had enough of this touchscreen obsession. The truth is simple. Cars are meant to be driven, not navigated like a smartphone. It's time the industry woke up and brought back the real buttons. Here's the real problem. Automakers have forgotten what driving actually feels like. They've been so obsessed with minimalist design and digital dashboards that they've lost sight of the one thing that really matters: control. Physical buttons, knobs, and switches aren't just nostalgic pieces of the past, they're tools of precision. They allow you to operate your car by instinct, by muscle memory. You don't have to look, you just know. That's what makes them brilliant and safe. When those buttons disappear, so does that connection. Every time you reach for a touchscreen, you're forced to think, to look, to navigate a menu instead of focusing on the road. What used to take a single motion of your hand now demands your eyes and your attention. And that's a serious problem, because while you're scrolling through climate settings, traffic isn't waiting. The NHTSA has been clear. Take your eyes off the road for just 2 seconds and your crash risk spikes dramatically. 2 seconds might sound like nothing, but at 60 miles per hour, that's nearly the length of a basketball court traveled blind. Touchscreens break the flow of driving. They interrupt your rhythm, forcing your brain to switch from a physical task to a visual one and back again. It's like juggling while blindfolded. Sure, it looks futuristic on a render, but when you're behind the wheel in real traffic, it's not just inconvenient, it's dangerous. The irony is, most of these changes weren't about improving usability. They were about aesthetics and cost. One big screen is cheaper to manufacture, easier to update with software, and looks modern in marketing photos. But what's stylish in a showroom isn't necessarily safe on a freeway. The real problem is simple. We've let design overrule function. Cars aren't supposed to be digital art pieces. They're machines meant to be driven by humans with real hands that need real buttons.
Now, let's get into the hard facts, because this isn't just about personal preference or nostalgia. The data backs it up. Study after study has proven that touchscreen controls are slower to use, more distracting, and simply less safe than good old-fashioned physical buttons. AAA's Foundation for Traffic Safety ran an on-road study comparing how drivers of different ages interacted with modern infotainment systems. The results were alarming. Older drivers, who make up a huge portion of car owners in the US, took up to 8 seconds longer to complete simple touchscreen tasks than younger drivers. 8 seconds might not sound like much, but when you're traveling at highway speeds, that's hundreds of feet of road covered with your attention pulled away. And the younger group wasn't immune either. Every single participant spent significantly more time looking down instead of out the windshield when using touch interfaces compared to physical buttons. The European safety organization V-Belegar did its own hands-on test comparing cars with touchscreens to models that still used real buttons. In one striking example, it took nearly 5 times longer to perform a basic task like adjusting the air conditioning or changing a radio station on a touchscreen than with physical controls. 5 times longer. Think about that. 5 times the distraction, 5 times the chance to miss what's happening in front of you. And this isn't some outdated concern. The data is recent, consistent, and clear. Visual demand and task time both skyrocket with touchscreen-based controls. You're no longer driving, you're managing a device. The moment your hands and eyes are split between steering and swiping, you've already compromised safety. What's worse, most of these systems are getting more complicated, not less. Each year, automakers add more features hidden behind more menus. A climate control here, a seat heater there, maybe even the wipers tucked inside a sub-page. It's absurd. What used to be a half-second turn of a dial has become a mini tech operation while doing 70 on the interstate. So when people say, "You'll get used to it," they're missing the point. This isn't about learning curves or modern convenience, it's about the physics of attention. The human brain can't focus on a glowing screen and the road at the same time. The data proves it. And yet automakers keep pretending this is innovation. It's not progress, it's regression disguised as technology. And here's where things start to get interesting, because drivers aren't just quietly putting up with it anymore. The market is starting to push back, hard. Consumers are tired of being beta testers for bad design. The message is loud and clear. We don't want cars that feel like smartphones on wheels. We want vehicles that feel like they were built for driving. Surveys across the US show growing frustration with touchscreen-heavy interiors. J.D. Power's 2024 initial quality study found that infotainment systems remain the #1 complaint among new car owners. Not engines, not transmissions, not reliability, it's the screens. Drivers consistently rank them as frustrating, unintuitive, and dangerously distracting. In fact, dissatisfaction with touch-only controls has climbed every single year since automakers began removing physical buttons. And the industry is finally starting to listen. Volvo, Hyundai, and even Porsche have quietly brought back physical switches for critical functions like climate control and drive mode. Volkswagen, a brand that once fully embraced the touchscreen era, recently admitted its mistake. Their CEO openly stated that the company's next generation of vehicles will reintroduce real buttons after widespread backlash over its confusing, touch-sensitive panels. That's not a small course correction. That's an industry realizing it went too far.
Even Tesla, the company that kicked off the all-screen revolution, is facing heat. Drivers have complained for years about fumbling through menus just to adjust the vents or change wiper speed. In fact, after European safety regulators started docking points for poor usability, Tesla began making incremental changes to simplify core controls. When the most tech-forward automaker on the planet starts rethinking its interface, you know the tide is turning. And it's not just about convenience, it's about trust. When drivers feel like they're fighting the car instead of working with it, that connection is broken. Automakers sell technology as a step forward, but consumers are showing them exactly where the line is. The truth is, people want both innovation and usability. They don't want to scroll through menus, they want to drive. The pushback is working, the market is speaking, and if the industry's smartest brands are paying attention, which they are, the comeback of physical buttons isn't nostalgia, it's course correction. If you want proof that this touchscreen obsession went off the rails, just look at what some automakers actually shipped over the last few years. A few of these designs bordered on ridiculous. Take Volkswagen, for example. They decided that traditional buttons were old-fashioned, so they swapped them out for glossy, touch-sensitive sliders on models like the ID.4 and Golf MK8. Sounds futuristic, right? Except those sliders weren't backlit, meaning you literally couldn't see them at night. Drivers had to fumble around in the dark just to change the volume or temperature. The backlash was immediate and brutal. Reviews called the system infuriating, unusable, and a design failure. Volkswagen got the message. Their new models, starting with the 2024 ID.3 and Tiguan, are bringing back real physical buttons, and the company even admitted publicly that they went too far trying to look modern. Then there's Tesla, the pioneer of the giant touchscreen era. Tesla's stripped away nearly every physical control in favor of a single central screen, right down to the wiper and gear controls. In the Model 3 and Model Y refresh, they even removed the traditional turn signal stocks, now replaced with tiny touch buttons on the steering wheel. It's sleek, sure, but when you have to hunt through sub-menus just to open your glove box or adjust your mirrors, that's not innovation, that's absurd. Even loyal Tesla owners have voiced frustration, calling it a distraction trap and dangerous in real-world driving. Honda tried the minimalist route once too. When the Civic and CR-V ditched their volume knobs in favor of touchscreen sliders, the complaints came flooding in. Drivers hated it. The fix? Honda quietly brought the knobs back in the next refresh, and sales didn't just stabilize, customer satisfaction shot up. Turns out, people just want to turn the volume down without taking their eyes off the road. Imagine that! And even BMW, a brand known for engineering precision, flirted with this idea. The iX SUV packed nearly everything into a curved touchscreen with layered digital menus. Reviewers praised the tech, but slammed the usability. Simple actions like adjusting fan speed took multiple taps and focus. BMW later confirmed that upcoming models will feature a mix of tactile buttons and digital controls, calling it a better balance between innovation and intuition. Translation: they learned their lesson. These examples all tell the same story. Automakers got swept up in the hype of digital minimalism and forgot what drivers actually need. But when real-world usability and safety came crashing back into the conversation, even the biggest players had to admit defeat. The truth is, driving isn't a touchscreen experience, it's a physical one. And the more brands try to digitize that away, the more consumers will push back until real buttons make a full comeback. Here's the thing, this isn't just about nostalgia or driver preference. There's a deep scientific reason why physical buttons are better for driving. It all comes down to how the human brain processes touch, motion, and attention. When you drive, your brain is already juggling a massive cognitive load, monitoring speed, distance, mirrors, traffic, sounds, and movement. Every bit of focus you divert to a screen isn't just a distraction, it's a cognitive tax that compromises safety.
Physical controls work because they engage what's called tactile and proprioceptive feedback. Your hands know exactly where they are in space without needing to see them. That's why you can reach for a volume knob, turn it, and go right back to steering, all without breaking concentration. The button clicks, the knob turns, and your brain registers it instantly. It's muscle memory, effortless, intuitive, and immediate. Touchscreens strip that away. They demand visual confirmation for every single action. You have to look, aim, tap, and then look again to make sure it worked. That's multiple cognitive steps instead of one. According to human factors research from institutions like MIT and Stanford, that additional demand significantly increases reaction time and mental workload while driving. In simple terms, touchscreens make your brain work harder for tasks that used to be automatic, and that extra effort comes directly out of your ability to focus on the road. There's also the issue of error rate. With physical buttons, your hand feels the boundary. The click tells you the task is done. But on a flat, glossy screen, there's no feedback. One bump in the road and you've just tapped the wrong menu or missed the slider completely. Studies from the University of Nottingham's Human Factors Research Group found that drivers using touchscreen systems made nearly twice as many operational errors compared to those using tactile controls. Twice as many mistakes in an environment where one mistake can mean real danger. It's not just about speed, it's about safety through predictability. A real button never moves. Its position, texture, and feel are consistent. Your brain learns that. But a touchscreen interface can change with an update or a new layout. That's why pilots, surgeons, and even heavy machinery operators all rely on tactile feedback systems, because when precision and safety matter, no one trusts a flat piece of glass. In the end, physical buttons align with how humans are wired to interact with machines. They respect the limits of attention and the need for instinctive control. Touchscreens, on the other hand, ignore human factors in favor of design trends. And when you're hurtling down a highway at 70 miles per hour, that design decision isn't just annoying, it's reckless. Now, to be fair, it's not all black and white. There are reasons why automakers have gone so deep into touchscreen territory, and some of those reasons make sense on paper. First, there's cost and flexibility. A touchscreen can replace dozens of physical buttons, simplifying manufacturing and saving millions per model line. Instead of re-engineering a new dashboard layout every time they add a feature, car makers can just push a software update. From a business standpoint, it's efficient. From a tech perspective, it's clean and future-proof. And for some functions like navigation, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, or advanced EV monitoring, a screen really is the best tool. No one's asking for 100 knobs on the dashboard again. Touchscreens also allow for a sleeker design language. Automakers love that minimalist spaceship look, smooth lines, seamless surfaces, glowing interfaces. It photographs beautifully, sells the idea of modern luxury, and appeals to younger, tech-savvy buyers. It's the same visual logic that made the iPhone revolutionary. Fewer buttons, more screen. And to be fair, not every driver hates it. Some people genuinely like the futuristic aesthetic or the ability to customize their displays. Tesla fans, for instance, appreciate that software-driven control means constant updates and new features, something physical buttons could never offer. For them, the touchscreen is part of the brand's identity, innovation in motion. But here's where the trade-off gets real. Convenience versus control. Form versus function. The technology is impressive, but it demands more from the driver. More attention, more precision, more mental effort. In a parked car, touchscreens are brilliant. But at 70 miles per hour, simplicity wins every time. That's where automakers need balance. The smartest approach isn't about picking one side. It's about combining both. Digital where it makes sense, tactile where it matters. A touchscreen for infotainment or navigation is fine, but for the essentials, climate, volume, headlights, wipers, defrost, nothing beats the instant, eyes-free certainty of a real button or dial. So yes, the touchscreen revolution brought real benefits, cleaner design, cheaper production, and a software-driven future. But it also brought distraction, frustration, and risk. The honest truth is, technology should serve the driver, not the other way around. If it makes you slower, less focused, or less in control, it doesn't belong in the driver's seat. So where do we go from here? The answer isn't to toss every screen out the window, it's to design cars that respect how humans actually drive. The goal shouldn't be more tech, it should be better tech. Smart interfaces that complement the driver instead of competing for attention. First, automakers need to prioritize critical functions as physical controls. That means climate settings, wipers, hazard lights, and audio volume, the things you reach for constantly while driving. These belong to real buttons and knobs, period. No amount of sleek design justifies burying those in menus. Volvo understood this early on. That's why even their most digital models still keep core driving controls tactile. It's not nostalgia, it's safety engineering. Second, car makers must apply human-centered design principles, not just digital minimalism. They need to think like drivers, not like app developers. Every control should be reachable without guesswork and operable without looking. If a driver has to take their eyes off the road to do something basic, that's a design failure, no matter how modern it looks. Third, it's time to rethink the interface hierarchy. Touchscreens can stay, but they should support driving, not dominate it. Context-aware design like voice commands that actually work, haptic feedback that mimics button clicks, or gesture controls that don't require precision tapping can make digital systems safer. BMW and Mercedes have started experimenting with this balance. Digital systems backed by physical redundancy. You can use the screen if you want, but you don't have to. That's the right direction.
Fourth, automakers need to listen to real user feedback. The data from J.D. Power and consumer reviews is screaming at them, yet many brands are still chasing trends. Companies should treat usability like they treat crash testing, as a measurable safety standard, because when distraction increases, safety decreases. It's that simple. And finally, brands should embrace design honesty. Cars are machines, not tablets.
The most advanced technology doesn't have to be invisible, it just has to be intuitive. The physical interface can still look premium, tactile controls can coexist beautifully with modern design. Porsche and Hyundai have already proven that. If the auto industry wants to build the cars of the future, it has to stop designing them like phones. The solution isn't to erase the driver's connection, it's to refine it. Keep the innovation, keep the intelligence, but bring back the feel, because the future of driving shouldn't be flatter, it should be smarter. Let me tell you a story, because this isn't just theory or data points, it's something real drivers are dealing with every single day. A friend of mine recently rented a brand new EV, a sleek, futuristic crossover with a massive center touchscreen that controlled everything. No buttons, no knobs, not even a physical gear selector. He was impressed at first, until he started driving. Halfway down the freeway, the cabin started fogging up. He reached instinctively for a defrost button, but there wasn't one. He had to tap through 3 different menus: climate, then settings, then defrost, all while doing 65 miles per hour. By the time he found it, he was so focused on the screen, he barely noticed the car ahead slowing down. That moment of fumbling wasn't just frustrating, it was dangerous. Or take the story of a Volkswagen owner who went viral on Reddit for the same reason. She said driving her new Golf felt like trying to operate a smartphone during turbulence. Every time she reached for a control, her finger would slip or hit the wrong icon because the touch sliders didn't register properly. Her conclusion was blunt: "I miss my old knobs." That single sentence got thousands of upvotes because it hit a nerve with drivers everywhere. Then there's the opposite side, people who've experienced the return of real buttons and realized how much better it feels. One journalist who tested the redesigned Volkswagen ID.3 wrote that the new tactile controls made the car instantly friendlier and less stressful. Another reviewer put it even better: "You don't realize how much you've been fighting your car until you stop." These stories matter because they bring the issue down to a human level. This isn't about being anti-tech, it's about trust. When you're behind the wheel, you need your car to respond like an extension of yourself, not a device demanding constant attention. A button isn't just a piece of plastic, it's a promise of control. And when automakers take that away, they break something deeper than convenience. They break confidence. That's the human side of this debate. We all want progress, but not if it means making driving harder, less intuitive, and less safe. The future of cars shouldn't leave us scrolling through submenus to turn on the defrost. It should let us focus on what really matters, the road ahead. So here's where we draw the line. If you're tired of cars that look great in ads but feel like a UX nightmare on the road, you're not alone. Drivers everywhere are speaking up, and it's working. Automakers are finally starting to listen, but they won't change unless we keep the pressure on. If you've ever found yourself fighting with a touchscreen while driving, tell your story. Drop a comment below. What's the most frustrating interface you've used, and which car got it right? Let's make this conversation impossible for automakers to ignore. Because the truth is, this isn't just about personal comfort, it's about safety. Every time a driver takes their eyes off the road to poke at a screen, that's a potential accident waiting to happen. Regulators and safety agencies need to treat this like what it really is, a design flaw that endangers people, not just a matter of taste. In Europe, the NCAP already penalizes cars that hide key controls behind touch interfaces. It's time the US followed suit. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration should start including in-vehicle control usability in its safety ratings, because a crash avoided is just as important as crash protection. That simple move would send a message loud and clear: attention matters. So if you believe cars should be intuitive, tactile, and built for real driving, make your voice heard. Share this video, tag your favorite automaker, and tell them, stop designing for showrooms and start designing for drivers. The future of cars doesn't need to be flatter or flashier, it just needs to be smarter and safer. Let's make sure that future has room for what truly connects us to the machine: real, physical control. Bring back the buttons. At the end of the day, this isn't just a debate about design. It's about the soul of driving. Because when you strip away all the screens, the animations, and the software updates, driving has always been about connection. That subtle feeling when your hands find the right switch without thinking, when your instincts and the car move as one. That's what makes driving human. Somewhere along the way, we let technology dull that connection. We traded confidence for convenience, craftsmanship for code, and real-world usability for digital aesthetics. But driving isn't supposed to feel like operating an app. It's supposed to feel like driving, natural, responsive, intuitive. You should be able to focus on the road ahead, not the menu layout in front of you. The good news? The pendulum is swinging back. Drivers are speaking, data is undeniable, and even the most stubborn automakers are admitting it. Touchscreens went too far. Buttons are coming back, not as a throwback, but as a correction, a return to what worked, to what made sense, to what made us feel in control. So as we look toward the future of cars, electric, autonomous, connected, let's not forget what makes them drivable. Technology should empower the driver, not distract them. Design should make us safer, not busier. The road ahead is digital, yes, but it still needs that human touch. Because progress isn't about removing what worked, it's about remembering why it worked in the first place. And that's why here at Car Today Reviews, we're saying it loud and clear. It's time to bring back the buttons and bring back the feeling of driving again.